how to say this, but I think I did figure out why my mic was being so weird, at least the last stream, which was almost a week ago. It turns out, for some reason, my laptop decided to completely reset my audio settings on how sensitive I made my mic, which just caused it, one, to be a lot more sensitive, and two, it just sounded like everything is blown out. I think I did successfully fix the issues I was having related to that. So hopefully it won't be as much of a problem going forward. But yeah, I did figure out what was going on there. I am still working with an absolutely potato mic. Unfortunately, it seems I'm still looking for a better method of like screen capturing. But I will say this. I think I do know why I struggle so much with like finishing art pieces. It's just that I get to the stage of line art and then I just do not enjoy it. I don't know why, like, the neutral green on a neutral, or the mid-tone green on a mid-tone gray background just irks me. Or at least it just feels irritating to look at. There we go. I don't know if it's also an issue of I'm just having to get used to drawing with a stylus all over again. Because as it turns out, my old stylus tip was pretty worn out and honestly getting kind of terrible. And the thing is, I think I at least set up the pressure sensitivity, at least with that, with the limitations of that stylus in mind. And I also forgot that my art gloves have seemingly gone missing, so I'm effectively working with really long sleeves as my art gloves. Because I have an issue with palm rejection sometimes, where I cannot tell that that is my palm. But I think like the other big issue for me is just like line consistency. Like, I don't know how else to put it. I do the best I can. Hey, that's part of the entire art process, which is just learning to work with the issues you have. Dang it. All I know is that if you look at my, at the mess of sketch documents that I have, you'll just see like randomly little that kind of splotch. The simple answer is I was too distracted focusing on drawing something to actually even notice that I did do that. I actually also was considering doing a Stardew stream because I may or may not have gone obsessed again. Like, the current save file I'm at currently has it listed at 48 hours of play. I just hit year 2 earlier today and was thinking, you know what would be fun? Starting another game of Stardew, except doing it on stream the entire time. Like, I'm not allowed to touch that save unless it's to do a stream. And that also just means like throwing ideas on a wall for other things to do. All I know is that I am once again alone in my room, As in, I no longer have, as of today, actually no, as of last Wednesday, I no longer have a roommate. So while that is probably a good thing for me, it is also not a good thing for me because I also now have even less incentives to do this thing that is called social interaction. Because the thing is, I don't live on main campus. And going to do the whole social interaction thing takes a lot of energy that most of the time I do not want to expend. I mean, what else do I say except I'm an introvert. And then again, with introversion, you end up with even stranger friends because at that point you're just willing to get adopted by an extrovert if it means entertainment. I'm not kidding. I've had friends, some of the questions of the week that might pop up in the future may have in part been inspired by the completely unhinged conversations I have with some IRL friends. And by IRL friends, I mean one in particular who I get to see on occasion on account of us no longer being in the same choir. I mean, I might bump into him again a little later down the line, but that's more because one of the university events we do is just like a massive combination of all three of the major choirs on campus. Although technically all the members of chamber choir are part of the choir season. I'm just the weirdo who managed to go 3 semesters, to go 8 semesters in chapel choir. I actually also have been considering adding Mondays to my schedule, largely because they're one of the few days where I also don't have a lot to do or at least moving Tuesday to Monday. Mostly because Tuesday is simultaneously busy and not busy. Switch to a morning Tuesday stream and an evening Monday stream. I mean, I don't know. If I do a morning stream, though, it's probably going to end up being video games more than likely. Or just working on computer science or computer wizardry or just games in general. Because I actually have considered just making a silly, dumb, text-based thing for the heck of it. Right now, the other thing I am currently kind of loosely working on is possibly setting up a Discord server. The only thing I'm still just on the fence about is setting up roleplay channels, because I know because I've had the misfortune of knowing exactly what kind of audience that could bring. That, and I would not call myself the best person for creating massive worlds, considering that I enjoy dumb things like alternate universes, or just combining every fanfiction trope in the book for no reason other than I found it entertaining. Then again, I am also by no means a professional writer, so more than half the time, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just here to have a good time. I mean, also, nothing wrong with that. I'm a strong believer in just, as long as you're not hurting anyone, have a great time. And I do consider myself a very much laissez-faire person. Or c'est la vie, whatever the heck you want to call it. favorite character moments, at least roleplay-wise, have just been sort of things where I just went, well, I have absolutely nothing left to lose in this interaction, so why not go with something that feels out of left field yet completely in character? Although I wouldn't say completely out of left field. It's more so my character was created, absolutely done with everything, and then got thrown into a situation where somehow even more things are happening that should theoretically not be possible. Then again, I probably did mention this, but half of what got me into a lot of things is probably Danganronpas. And by Danganronpas, I mean Danganronpa, followed by learning about an entire genre of role-playing games that are entirely themed around Danganronpa, as well as me considering the possibility of running my own Danganronpa, complete with possibly... But again, I guess is why I didn't mind... I enjoy things like, I've enjoyed games such as 10 Candles. Because despite knowing that a bunch of people, every playable character is going to be dead by the end of it, it is still fun to just play. But, as far as this piece goes, it is not at all related to any of the things I'm working on, although I do have one thing that I am working on, that is technically the character of one of the people I am engaged in a role-playing scenario with. Not actively, though. It's more so just completely in relations to the ending of a rather more recent trial. Let's just say a character that a lot of us liked ended up being the killer. And no one was happy with it, and I keep on, and every once in a while, when they pop in a chat and said, I go all Zalgotex and said, live with the suffering you created. But it's all in good fun. I've only had the issue of people conflating in-character issues with the out-of-character actual person. That has happened a grand total of once, and that was actually more on the perpetrator's fault because, let's just say, there is a certain type of bigotry that I have absolutely zero tolerance for, and it is what I like to call the lawful stupid argument, which is basically, character does not follow standard religion, therefore is evil, and therefore must be punished. Or character does not conform to whatever arbitrary metric of normal we are going by, and therefore must either be forced to conform or be severely punished. And the entire issue there was that without any prompting from anyone, they decided to carve a religious symbol into another character's hand. And for all intents and purposes, that was not discussed at all beforehand. So it just ended poorly for a lot of people involved. What I will also add as a funny note related to that entire game was that one of the motives that was created was basically sort of just an intention of just further creating anger and division within the cast. And we had this group, I was technically a part of it, of what we jokingly refer to as the Satanic Trio, because one of the characters was an ultimate witch, and my character and another character just happened to be friends with this witch, and we just said, you know what, screw it, congratulations, we're the Satanic Trio. I don't know how, but somehow they also jokingly referred to me as the protagonist, even if at that point in time my character development and role-playing skills were that of a semi-passive, I am passionate but I don't know where I'm directing that passion. anyway, this particular motive was basically the mastermind of this entire situation gave everyone a bunch of videotapes, and our job was to decide whether or not the person on the tape was allowed to continue existing in a breathing state. Yeah, it was, if I haven't mentioned it, Danganronpa is one of those kinds of games. I mean, it technically is sort of like a detective thriller, but at the same time, it also gets very dark very quickly. And I will say this, if you love a character, be ready at any moment for them to die. Because no one is safe, not even the protagonist. Although my friends on the current server I'm in are convinced that it's only the musicians that aren't safe. But anyways, building off of that, basically we were given a tape and told we are to determine whether or not the party in that tape gets to live or die. I'm not kidding when I say this. The only people who chose to spare whoever was in their tape were the quote-unquote satanic trio. Not the Ultimate Priest, not any of the Ultimate Priest friends. Literally a grand total of 3 people chose spare. And wow. Let's just say that created a lot of, I'll be honest, out of character, in character, everyone handled it as well as you'd expect, considering that all but 3 people had their loved ones basically robbed of their lives in front of their very eyes. Well, it was still kind of just... It was technically a recording, I guess. I don't really know for sure, but in real roleplay time, our characters got to watch our loved ones either live or die, and the only ones who got to live were those... And I should probably mention this, but the way that this was formatted was that a lot of people who may or may not like each other had the lives of each other's loved ones in their hands. My character, she had beef with a character I will refer to as an Ultimate Marine, and that was for many things, including the carving a religious symbol into the Ultimate Witch. I'm not naming these characters because none of these characters are mine except for one of them, that being Irina, my Ultimate Archer, who I think I've drawn on stream like maybe once. But basically, what ended up happening was that everyone just sort of spiraled into an angry... And unfortunately, it was also holiday season, so unfortunately we didn't really get to see the overall outcome of all of this. All I know is that in character, no one was happy. Because, let me just say this. This was technically set in a loosely connected to canon Danganronpa, if you know, spoilers ahead if you know anything about that. But basically, one of the characters in their backstory happened to have been friends with Sonia Nevermind. And if you don't know who Sonia Nevermind is, quick warning to anyone who has yet to play the games and doesn't want to be spoiled. Sonia Nevermind is one of the members of Ultimate Despair, which is a really fun group we get to meet a lot more of in Super Danganronpa 2. I would love to play the games on stream eventually. I just don't really have the time or the budget, so most of my knowledge comes from watching other people's playthrough of the game, in addition to watching the Danganronpa 3 anime, as well as Danganronpa V3 through other people. if I ever get the money to, I definitely plan on buying and then playing the games on stream. Even if I do find some of the characters to be annoying. No comment. Sorry, AKA season. The funny thing is, that was one of the most fun roleplays that I'd ever participated in. I'm still kind of sad that it never really concluded. I mean, out of character, we did get to see all of what was kind of going on behind the scenes, including learning that the traders were technically... It was basically sort of a traitor twist in the same way that Chiaki Nanami was a traitor twist. But also not, because one, the entire game did take place in the real world. Sorry for more spoilers. And two, so technically all of our characters, except for the traitors, were also Ultimate Despair. If you played Ultra Despair World Monokuma Kid. I don't exactly know when in the timeline that game would have taken place, because or at least that role-playing game would have taken place. Because the thing is, in all technicality, it is not canon, although technically V3, his meta twist at the end, did make it so that almost every single Danganronpa could be canon. If you just really wanted to screw with reality. I'm actually kind of not kidding. One of the people I am friends with on another server is writing their own Danganronpa. I'm not gonna spoil any of it in case. I'm just not gonna say anything about it, but I kind of do know the overall plot of it, because I was invited to read ahead on it. And I do not betray that kind of trust lightly. What I do know is that I kind of do just want to get overall better at writing. Or because I kind of just want to make my own Danganronpa eventually. Like an actual video game. Although I'm also kind of on the fence on... Well, I kind of want to do it in a game engine like Adventure Game Studio just to see if I can. Because I already understand the mechanics of a lot of what I can do with that game engine. And right now, my only real issue with AGS is just that I don't know how to get it working on Linux. I might play around with that idea more tomorrow morning or after I get off stream. Because from at least what I'm reading, there is a GitHub thing that you can download that is designed to be run on Linux. I did try using Wine to get it running initially because I was actually successful in getting Live 2D to run on my laptop using Wine. But I think it's largely the net requirements that are just making it hard to try getting that to work. I'm still dealing with a really dry throat, and if you just saw my avatar switch out, that was just because I was drinking out of a thing of water that I need to refill eventually. hey, at least I have a cup of cold brew tea that I think I did not add enough tea leaves to. There we go. Line weight that I have a weird issue with. Like, sometimes it feels way too thick and sometimes it feels way too thin, and I'm just having a hard time with like consistency. But then again, like, this is just a consequence of me avoiding the issue instead of just dealing with it. So now I have to just learn to figure out how to fix it the hard way. Anyway, I do have most of the Discord servers set up, and I'm probably just gonna like make sure that I have the essentials down pat before I actually even try publicly opening it, and I'm probably gonna also like manually verify users because I mean I'm taking a lot of tips from places like Stream Scheme, at least in terms of dealing with stuff like this. Oh, I completely forgot to check whether or not I have additional panels set up, largely just so I can keep an eye on chat. And the thing is, my things are all over the place, so I don't know where to look anymore. Actually, at least there we go. And now I have quick action stuff. So yeah, another thing I was planning on doing more of is probably doing things like Game Jam, and even if I don't have something I can submit on time, just having been able to just have something that I thought would be silly and worth showing off. Because, I'll be honest, at the end of the day, a Game Jam is more about just working on a tight deadline to develop a game and then sharing it with a community of people. I mean, then again, like, for me, the thing that takes the most amount of time is just, like, choice of how I make assets. I mean, I could theoretically just, like, build a bigger brush to make line art a little easier. But at the same time, I kind of like this, like, I guess I'm still kind of on the fence on how big I like my lines. Because at the same time, the big lines, or the small lines are nice and detailed, but it would also probably feel a little bit faster if I had bigger, if I just worked with bigger lines. I think it's just down to, in my what's called? In my mini sketchbook, like, these two ones are way too big to be even worth sketching with, outside of maybe just messing around with silhouettes. Oh, these two work just fine for that. So in the future, I might just work with more lines that look something like that and use this for more finer details. Because this one was largely just meant for me to have sharp, more defined lines. And I think I'm just beginning to run into an issue where this is becoming to be more trouble than it's worth. But I think I might end up redoing this entire line art because I'm just getting more and more annoyed with it. Because, I'll be honest, like, the underlying sketch is okay, it's just that this is getting more frustrating to work with as I go on. I mean, I think, like, the other reason why I went with, like, the finer brush is also because I kind of do enjoy a bit more stylized render and not cel shading so much. But I don't know, then again, like, a lot of art pieces are just me experimenting with what I can do. I'll be honest, this is already feeling a lot easier to just connect. I mean, it's either that or just... I don't know how to describe it. I just don't. I mean, maybe it's also just the fact that it feels a little easier to clean up, like, larger brushes than it does with more thin lines. As long as I can get the shape down, it's probably a lot easier to do. So, in the future, I might end up just doing, like, thicker lining on big pieces and thinner lines on less important details. Then again, that is also the common recommendation on how to do one. Also, you want to know the other big hint as to why my mic issues were being weird, or at least sounding incredibly blown out, was just when me simply moving my mouse was causing OBS to pick up my mouse. Ooh, that is something that needs a bit of a fix. There we go. Yeah, in other news, I spent most of yesterday and a bit earlier today trying to get any amount of Primos to hopefully have enough to pull for Sit Lolly. Because let's be honest, she's a pro character. There's a high probability she's going in the fridge. Unfortunately, I didn't. Instead, I used my guarantee on Mavuika and lost my 50-50. Then again, I won't say no to Tainari because I actually do want him. See, right now the only 5-star standard characters I do not have are Kiching, Dilu, and yeah, I used to not have Jean. I got, the only reason I have Jean is because of the anniversary rewards. And even then, I don't have her built that well because I spent more time building Chi-Chi. And I know a lot of people like to meme on Chi-Chi, but the thing is, I actually do end up using her a lot, especially pairing her with Farina. Whether or not that was a good decision on my part is a mystery that I will never answer. And again, like, some of y'all have seen my Genshin account. Chi-Chi, I think, is level 86. She might become the first character I get the envisaged Echo for, assuming I can ever survive assuming I can even get another envisaged Echo key. Because otherwise it's probably going to end up being Kazuha, who is the other character I just end up using everywhere. Oh yeah, and other news, I did manage to make it to floor 3 with a semi-meme team. The thing is, I've never, or not, floor 3, 12-3. I did manage to make it to floor 12-3 with a composition of a semi-meme team in the form of Kainari and a bunch of characters who I didn't think would work out well together because it basically relied a lot on... Floor 11-3 is just a floor I absolutely despise most of the time. Mostly because of the hydro... what's it called? Fantasian things. Like, because of them, I can't use Farina in that team. Because they're just immune to hydro damage. So I have to semi-meme it out with Yoimiya and Kainari. Just like, Yoimiya because she is utterly amazing at, what's it called? She's amazing at single target, and I do not care. I love her. There's a reason why I tried with her. The only reason I switched off her during Act 4 of during Rainbow Destined to Burn is literally because I was getting so frustrated with I was getting so overwhelmed with everything that I just had to pull out the big gun himself, Nervalet. That doesn't say there's anything wrong with the movie, it's just that I enjoy running around with Yoimiya. I love fireworks. And again, you're also talking to someone who also plays Eula from time to time for no reason other than why the heck not. I've literally used Eula to kill Solitary Sinai multiple times. Because she just works. Then I'm also still trying to understand how the entire elemental reactions thing, especially like what the heck is the difference between a transformative reaction and another kind of reaction I genuinely forget the name of. I just don't understand. What I will say though is that I probably use Farina in a lot of teams. And I am still struggling to get the artifacts I need. I don't know if it was the best decision I made, but I did ultimately end up doing the World Ascension quest. And that was only after I... what's it called? I ended, it was only after I sent Mavuika to level 90. And she still sees 0 either way. I'm probably not gonna get any constellation. I'm probably not gonna get any constellations on her in a while. Especially since I think her banner has ended as of today. I don't know when today, but it was like 21 hours until her banner ended last time I checked into the game. I don't remember if that was this morning or yesterday. This morning I was a bit more focused on trying to finish something for my software class, which was just my part of a few presentation slides for something that I'm doing on Thursday, but I'm only giving the presentation for on Friday. And this is one of the momentary talked about like using a smaller thing. This is just largely kind of reminding me of an Apple Pencil. And then, like, I think the Apple Pencil is literally what I base that off of. Oh yeah, one of my friends also gave me an incredibly cursed idea. And basically, it was to draw a unicorn, except with human hands for wings. I have yet to draw it, but if that shows up anywhere in my feed later, you know who to, just know to blame one of the people I am friends with. And if it ends up as the mascot of something, I guess you're welcome. I don't know what it would be the mascot of. I don't even know why you'd want a hand unicorn for a mascot, but I guess you're welcome. Oh, that's a tangent if ever I've seen one. Let's make that a foot suspiciously small before expanding out again and actually having it still look surprisingly decent. We need to make more scrunchies eventually. They're fun to make, actually. I learned how to make them over the summer, and my grandmother bought a few of them. They're actually pretty fun to make. I mentioned this to my favorite choir, my choir directors, like, Kara, every time you show up in my class, you come back with some new skill that feels completely unrelated to all of the previous ones. I'm pretty sure sewing has some relationship to embroidery. Anyways, the skill I came into with this semester was literally live 2D. Like, you can see the evidence right here. I literally made this thing. Well, I guess I could probably also talk about my current job, my current form of employment, which is literally doing AV stuff at our chapel. The main reason I got that entire job was literally because I was friends with, the assistant, I kind of just end up becoming friends with one of the preachers. I'm not gonna name her name, but basically, she ended up just bumping into me while I was at lunch. Like, we got to talking, I mentioned that I was looking for an on-campus job, and the thing is, this was shortly after I'd just been rejected from an on-campus student IT job. I later learned from a bunch of other people who applied for the same position that apparently IT has a grudge with most of the computer science department because of our propensity for causing all sorts of unexpected problems because we are just built different. And by built different, I mean we are willing to do more insane things for no reason other than we could. I'm not kidding when I say this. I am friends with a guy who managed to crash the school servers over break. Well, not break, spring break. One of my friends, one of the guys I'm working with for my capstone project, he was literally paid by the person in charge of the security of said server to hack said server. He did it successfully. So basically, I think IT just has all sorts of reasons to try to avoid the computer science department when possible, because there is no predicting whether they're going to get someone who actually is willing to play bot within the standards and guidelines and whatnot, or if they're going to get someone who may be a little partial towards a little insanity. And I hate to say this, I am probably the kind of person who is partial towards a little insanity. Then again, the way I describe myself to a lot of my friends is that I'm the older sister who encourages arson. I don't start fires, I fuel them. But I will say this. If you are going to start a fire, make sure it doesn't get out of control too quickly, because otherwise you will have no wood left to burn and then it won't be fun anymore. And I'm also kind of picky about the kind of arson you're committing. Like, is it targeted or is it well deserved? Or are you just being a dick? Because I'll be honest, there's a fine line between being haha silly and being a dick. And what we do not want to be is a dick. Then again, like, I will say this. Slurs or insinuations that having a particular disability is a bad thing is a one-way ticket to ban jail. But here's the thing. There are certain kinds of jokes that you really need to know your audience for. And dark humor jokes are ones where you really need to know your audience. Like, there's a really thin line that you can toe before it becomes just distasteful. And I may say things that are utterly disparaging against, I don't know how to say this, but certain ideologies that sound like I'm not taking them seriously at all. But that's largely because I know the difference between actually confronting them and the reality of actually confronting them, and the fact that I'm making fun of them because I'm in a position where that reality just cannot affect me. Like, one time I was criticized for making fun in a role-playing game scenario. I was criticized for making fun of Death Eaters who were honestly kind of serious, who, while kind of weird in their own bumbling way, are still kind of a serious threat, but I was just making fun of them for their, what I consider to be an utterly ridiculous ideology. Like, I was making fun of them for that ridiculous ideology and their over-reliance on, and what I felt like was their over-reliance on, quite frankly, nonsensical bloodline politics. Like, yeah, it sounded like I wasn't taking them seriously. I was making fun of them. But the thing is, I was pulling that weird line of, I was making fun of them because, one, they don't exist, and two, even if they did exist, their ideology is not worth taking. I wouldn't say it's not worth taking seriously, but it's not worth taking seriously in the sense that, yes, I accept this as a valid ideology, but not taking seriously in a sense of, what's the best way to put this? it's just criticizing the entire idea that one group of people is superior for completely arbitrary reasons. Like, yes, they may have power, but if you can bruise their ego, well then, I still consider that a win. Because their entire ego is entirely dependent on the fact that people take them seriously. And, well, yes, they do pose a legitimate threat in certain contexts. In others, especially when you're in a position where they physically can do, where they can literally do absolutely nothing, especially since they don't know about it. I feel like making fun of them and calling them bumbling morons is just a valid way of, I guess, easing the tension over whether, because at the end of the day, they're bumbling morons in the sense that they believe one incredibly arbitrary trait that is decided entirely by chance somehow magically makes them superior to everyone. And if that's not a thing worth criticizing, I don't know what is. Like, yes, they are a legitimate threat. But do they deserve to be... treated... Okay. I'm just gonna say this. I never was the best at explaining my viewpoints, but is that an ideology worth respecting? Because, I'll be honest, if you can't laugh at yourself for realizing that you said something dumb, then I don't know what else to do to explain why an ideology is wrong. And that's also probably why I find fun so wonderful even. Because for me, at the end of the day, laughter is just one of the many ways where I just let life, I essentially just say, you know what, life, you may suck, but you also don't have the power of just making me miserable forever. And that's, I'll be honest, not a lot of people can just live life like that. Like, they have to take stuff seriously simply because if they don't, well, it could actually harm them. But that's also a really tough line to toe sometimes. Sometimes you just need to look at circumstances and realize that this is so beyond Looney Tunes insane. Laugh at it and then do everything in your power to not let it have power and control your happiness. I don't know. Did I put it succinctly? Did I not? I mean, I do know that I am going to have to, like, write a manifesto, at least for another one of my required classes to graduate. I have all sorts of weird things to do, at least this semester. I mean, it's also my final semester of college. I'm literally going to be walking in May. I mean, of course, then my schedule for at least streaming is going to end up changing a lot. The main reason why I end up going from topic to topic is just how my brain functions. Because the way I've ended up explaining it to my parents is that sometimes my brain goes a little faster than my mouth. And I've also ended up having this conversation a few times with my dad, because, like, what I will say is that my mom and I, we can jump from topic to topic, and the logical line of reasoning doesn't really matter to us. At least on how we end up on a completely unrelated topic. But my dad, I think he struggles with that a lot, and I don't really know one particular might be causing it, but sometimes for me, it's just difficult to explain how my mind goes from Danganronpa all the way to how my mind functions. Like, somewhere along the line, it might have made sense, like, if I watch back through all of this, and how the logical chain of events will tease themselves out, but it's always just one of those things where you yap long enough and then somehow you're on a completely unrelated topic. I'm not kidding when I say this, or at least I think I'm not kidding when I say this. I'm pretty sure a few minutes ago I was just discussing why I sometimes why I don't take certain ideologies seriously that should be taken incredibly seriously, because they do pose a genuine threat. But then again, I think also a lot of this kind of ultimately stemmed from just being frustrated with the idea that me voting third party was a horrific crime. And I'm talking about in the first time I could even vote for an election. I am 22 years old now. This would have been the second time I voted. I'm not going to get into politics because I'm just frustrated with everything right now. And I think a lot of policies are dumb. But I'm largely of the opinion that if you vote for someone you don't believe in only because you believe your candidate won't win, then that's the only time when you've actually wasted your vote. I have had so many friends and teachers and, well, not really any family members. I've had so many people argue with me about this. Like, so you'd much rather vote for someone you don't necessarily believe entirely in over someone you believe can do the job. And this is one of the fundamental reasons why I think a two-party system, at least in America, is just silly. But it's also the situation we find ourselves in. Because here's the thing, I don't agree with every party 100% on everything. There's a reason why I don't strictly pick sides. I'm not going to say which side I agree with more, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We're all going to have to deal with the same president, whether we like it or not. We're all going to have to deal with the outcome of who the current president is. But if you vote for someone you don't believe in, that is the only time I genuinely believe you've wasted your vote. Because what you've effectively said is, my vote doesn't matter, so I'm just going to toss it at someone who will definitely, so I'm just going to toss it at someone else. And again, like, other channels have also done explorations of alternative voting systems, and the thing is, there's no perfect solution to democracy. Because at the end of the day, there are a bunch of people. People are individuals, and therefore, you're just going to have to deal with the consequences of people being individuals. Anyways, that's just another wild rabbit hole for you to explore on your own time. Yeah, I guess another funny thing I could go into a long-winded rant about is just the semi-inconsistent nature of the buses. I mentioned the main reason why I kind of have a little bit of an issue now that I have no roommate again is that I have even less excuses to get outside and socialize. It's literally because if I want to go to anywhere on main campus, I have to wait anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour for a bus to show up just so I can catch a ride to campus. And if it's after 1 a.m. because I decided to spend time hanging out with friends for once, instead of going to my room after I was done with everything on my Friday night, I will have to either get a friend to catch a ride, or I will have to spend the night in the computer science lounge. Believe it or not, people have actually spent the night there. There are couches and everything. It's just, I would prefer not to spend my final semester here having to do that if I want to hang out with people. But such is the joy of being an introvert. I will say though, like, the other main reason why I end up not posting to Twitter, Instagram, and other stuff a lot is just because I genuinely feel like it takes a lot of energy for me to do a lot of social things. Like, I spend more time on Discord, which is, in all honesty, why I'm even considering just opening a public Discord server just to share and see other people's art. Because I'll be honest, Discord is probably the main way I socialize nowadays, because it doesn't feel like I'm beholden to any kind of algorithm, and it feels significantly less stressful. It's literally the point where when I am considering doing stuff, I'm considering literally the first place that sees my art most of the time these days are literally just the random Discord servers I'm a part of with people who I enjoy the company of. Then, I'll be honest, most algorithmically driven social media platforms are nothing but mood killers for me. It's why I end up going weeks to months at a time without posting. Because at the end of the day, there's just only so much internet nonsense I can tolerate. And now I'll do some final details. I'll be honest, for this I'm actually loosely referencing a course set that I do have. In fact, once I have this done, I might end up redoing at least part of my VTuber model with some toggles too. Largely just for a silly shirt idea I had that I just really love the idea of. ever mention just the one time I end up getting to a fight with my grandmother over my fashion sense? I'm not kidding when I say this. I'm literally friends with more guys than I am girls. Or because the guys I'm friends with have yet to criticize my fashion sense. Like, I show up in jeans and a t-shirt or wearing a hoodie. They don't care. Most of them are wearing the same thing. Maybe one of them is wearing a fancy suit because he's going to dinner later at one of the on-campus fine dining restaurants. I'm not kidding when I say this. There have been times where I'm the only girl in a group project and everything ends up going fine. Meanwhile, the current all-girls group project I'm working on, I'm just having some issues with because I feel like half the time I'm not really being listened to. I don't know if it's just a me thing or it's just that I do not have I have all the concepts of being a woman except for apparently fashion and just working with other women. Because I'll be upfront and blunt. Most of my feminine role models are not what I'd call traditionally feminine. I'm not kidding when I say this. I would not call most of the female role models I had growing up traditionally feminine. Like, the closest I have to a traditionally feminine role model was probably my art teachers. And by my art teachers, I mean one teacher who I sung at the wedding for, and she is, I'm pretty sure she's not, let's just say she has an incredibly thick accent because I forget which country she comes from, but, or at least her family comes from, but, she by no means grew up with the same culture I did. And the other art teacher I only had for a few semesters, and I think like one semester, and it was for a textile arts class, which is literally just the entire origin story of how I even got into like sewing in general. And I will say that she was an amazing teacher. Like, yeah, there were some aspects of that class I didn't enjoy, particularly like the final project where we had to do a themed pillow. It had to be a holiday-inspired pillow. The only way you were allowed to get out of that is if you were a senior and making a pillow in the colors of the college you plan on going to. Guess who wasn't a senior when I took that class? So, I mean, the thing is, the pillow that I made for that class, it's still in my parents' house. They still have it. They keep it on the couch year-round. I literally slept with it when... I've literally slept with the dang thing. I wouldn't call it my best work of art, but it certainly was fun to make. Especially since I kind of picked up on quilting really quickly because of that. I mean, I have considered going back trying quilting again a few times. It's just that it's kind of an activity. I mean, it's not really boring. It's more so it takes a lot of time and a lot more planning than you think it would. Especially if you want to make it good. It isn't hard, but at the same time, it isn't easy. Actually, now that I think about it, another one of the things that I have to work, I need to figure out is what my teacher is calling our own like personal artifacts. I already know at least one of the ones I am doing for that, which is literally a poem that I wrote for my grandfather's funeral. I've never posted it publicly. That is something I've left largely in the hands of my grandmother, who is still around. But I'll be honest, I started writing that poem shortly after I knew he was dead. I didn't finish it until like an hour before I actually had to give a eulogy. And the thing is, that was the first time I'd ever given a eulogy. And I think it's also something that just deeply impacted my life a lot. And I'm just talking about something that happened like 4 years ago. Am I over it? Does it still inform a lot of what I kinda do? Kind of. But the thing is, I think it also affected a lot of my understanding of what I like to call melancholy. And the thing is, I have such a weird relationship with that topic, largely because of one of the honors classes I took, I want to say last year. Okay, sorry. I need to go back and figure out what I messed up when I confirmed the program. But the reason why I say I have a weird relationship with that is I went into that class completely understanding I'd probably be odd man out. Like, immediately odd man out. Literally, the first thing out of the teacher, one of the first things our teacher for that class talked about was, like, people who need, like, strictly defined rules of what to do and what not to do don't typically do well in that class. So, and the example she used was computer scientist. And I raised my hand like, I'm computer scientist. She immediately corrected herself to say, computer scientists who don't have weird hobbies. I'm sorry, almost every computer scientist I know has incredibly weird hobbies. So that cleared up absolutely none of the confusion. Then again, I probably would best describe myself as a humanist in the weirdest ways possible. I'm being genuine when I say this, but I feel like a lot of people try to control the color of the world. And ultimately, I don't think controlling the color of the world is going to do much for you. Because people are just built different. Like, to me, the biggest thing with melancholy is it's the understanding that life is going to have a lot of sucky ups and downs. but only by embracing them can you really find joy. Which is why I suppose, now that I think about it, my real motto in life would probably be embrace the weird. I'll be honest, I'll never know how many people are watching this. I genuinely don't care. I mean, maybe early on I did care a lot, but after a while I kind of just finally got through to that part of my brain that said, oh, you're not doing well enough. Oh, you're not doing well enough. Now I guess I cracked the formula in that it's to keep an eye on chat to see if anyone else is responding to it. Otherwise, just keep yapping away, even if no one is actually listening. After all, I'm just one of the many millions of colorful people in a symphony of voices. Anyways, I'm gonna take a quick second to sip on some tea. You know what would be fun? Actually rigging together something just so I can have a toggle that is literally my character holding a mug of tea just for chatting segments when I'm trying to figure stuff out. And I'm just probably gonna also end up being that weirdo who ends up doing a lot of tech support for a few friends because I swear, I happen to be like one of 3 people in the entire chapel community who has any understanding of a lot of streaming related things. Like, I actually probably do need to talk to one of the people in my, what's it called? But I noticed, at least while I'm running a live stream for chapel, that our laptop keeps saying that it keeps running into encoding errors. I don't know if it's an issue of just like the limitations of the laptop or something else, but I kind of think that might be a little bit of a problem. I'm probably gonna bring up the next tomorrow because that's when I have to run stream next time. Currently, I also need to help my person who's going to be replacing me when I graduate figure out a few other things because for our MLK Day service, I wasn't available to run live stream on account of me being in 2 of the 3 choirs that were giving performances. And literally 3 minutes before they were supposed to go live, it was like, "Hey, Tara, how do we export the announcement slides video?" And it's like, you do it like this, and I literally ended up sneaking out of my road to go check on them just to see how they were doing. I mean, that was hardly the only thing causing problems at that service. Apparently one of the rows that my choir, the main choir that I was supposed to be in, one of our rows just got swallowed by the congregation. My guess is whoever was in charge of putting out reserve funds completely underestimated how many people were in our choir. We got it semi-worked out. It wasn't the best solution, but it worked. I went over and was like, look, we're already behind, so we're just gonna have to live without the video. The thing is, I completely understood. I might end up writing out an entire document on that alone, just in case any future people who have to take over that position get utterly lost and confused. I know the songs for beans, but I don't care. think that's means I can now do the fun thing, which is coloring. And that I still kind of do need. These I can group together for a lot, or at least for planning and referencing. Good news with this is that I don't have to worry too much about colors because I already have them picked. And by have them picked, I mean I have an entire palette pre-built. There's one of the things I forgot to fix. Because this just felt weirdly tangenty. And just like that, it no longer feels like a weird tangent. At least that feels less like a weird tangent. Still hate it. I'm doing what I can, okay? Drop the opacity and just do that. Now comes the fun part, which is where I literally just use a smaller brush to draw lines, except I can care a lot less about how thick they are because as long as they all close at the end of the day, it doesn't particularly matter all that much. Like, the way I do coloring though, I don't really do it all in one layer. I will flatten them at the end though. It's just that I do it in a bunch of different stages, largely to just be sure I cover what I need to. I did not realize I made the neck that thick. I know that sometimes it makes it easy, sometimes it doesn't. I do know, like, some parts of this I'm just gonna color over later. Like, one of the eyebrows that I apparently colored by accident. I know that one of the things I simultaneously regret and don't regret at all is switching to Linux. I've already told one of my friends that I absolutely do not recommend doing it if he does not have any kind of technical background in anything. This is like the same friend who I mentioned does want to try streaming. probably should text and see where he's at on that, considering that he said that he was waiting on a friend who he wanted to do it with. And I already told him that if he needs me for tech support or other random bits of advice, I'm completely on board for that. I mean, he has my phone number. Thing is, most of the stuff I know is I only really know because I went down several different rabbit holes. Well, because I was simultaneously over and undercomplicating everything. I have to say this, if there's any rabbit hole that I consider the biggest rabbit hole I ever dug into that was completely unrelated to just my interest in forensic files, it would probably just be anything and everything related to content creation. But I know the reason why I'm probably not going to be taking off anytime soon is largely because I don't exactly have the bandwidth to immediately jump into doing a massive ton of things. Nor do I have the budget to invest in a team to help me do all those things. What I do know I do have the emotional bandwidth for is engaging with people on a semi-individual level. Which is why I end up finding a lot more fun in just... Is this streaming or is it just me doing me things? I don't know. I don't know that these headphones are kind of getting a little irritating. And again, I could theoretically like turn them off, but the thing is, I don't know if that is what caused my mic to suddenly decide to reset all of things. I do know I do have it written down though as to what it should be. I can probably also pull up the mic just to even be sure that it didn't suddenly decide to loop back around to being overly sensitive. Okay, it's selected. All I know is that I can probably guide people through making an inbuilt laptop mic sound like not garbage. I'm not kidding when I say this. I'm literally using the inbuilt microphone on my laptop for this, as well as the inbuilt camera, which is why eye tracking on this is just absolutely abysmal. I mean, my dad did offer me one of his old webcams. The thing is like, I don't know. For now, if anything, I'm just looking for a video capture card that I know will not just, that I know will work with Linux, because I just want any reason to not have to go back to Windows. I do have it dual booted on my laptop, I just don't want to deal with it. Because it's caused me enough emotional distress. I mean, I'm not saying that Linux hasn't caused me emotional distress either. It's just the development environment I'm a bit more comfortable and familiar with. The only gripe I have is that almost everything is built for Windows, because that is what people assume you have by default. But the thing is, I do want to eventually try digging my old laptop out of storage and just putting Linux Mint on it just to see if I can get it running again. Because here's the thing, I don't really know what exactly on it got fried. I don't because every time I booted it back up, it just took me to the BIOS menu and just failed to boot. So my guess is my best chance at fixing whatever's going wrong with it is literally to put Mint on it. What I have considered doing to a few friends just to be funny is offering them Mint and then pulling out a Linux Mint USB stick. I'm not kidding when I say this. In my wallet there is a little USB stick. School university USB stick that I got from the school itself for free off of I forget what. I think it was just like a part of a welcome package they gave me like 4 years ago. I put Linux Mint on that sucker, and yeah, that is how I end up getting Linux Mint. I will say the other resource that one of my teachers did point me towards was Windows subsystem for Linux. I'll be honest, I still hate it. Mostly because the Ubuntu default install, it's just seriously irritating red to look at. I don't know how to describe it. I don't even know if I can even replicate the color because it just felt that eye-straining to look at. It's not a cool blue, it's not a warm red. It just feels like a frustratingly irritating red to look at. Like, it was not quite black, but it was whatever it was like a fully saturated dark color that just did not at all feel pleasant to stare at for a long time. What I will say is, if I ever wanted to use WSL, I would just open a command prompt and type bash, because I just did not want to deal with that. I hated it that much. I might need to take a quick BRB just to get some water. I mean, it also probably won't be that long. I'll literally be in the other room, so I might just switch to a BRB, but if I'm yelling, I might be able to still hear what's going on. I wanna try something. Okay, that still is working just fine. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's a headache related to the fact that, wearing those headphones kind of start hurting after a while, like, without squeezing my head. I don't know if it's because I'm wearing less or if it's just because they're tight. I've tried multiple different things to fix it. I've not been able to figure it out. I just need to pull some things back up because I was looking around with OBS. One thing I can say though is I'm probably never going to go back to Streamlabs, largely because I just found certain aspects of it more frustrating than anything. I'm probably going to go full open source whenever I can. Another thing I've also kind of loosely considered doing was also moving Thursday, having a Thursday morning stream, which is just like an hour or two of drawing, and then me goofing around playing video games in the evening. Although evenings, I think I might end up... Thing is, with like class schedules and everything else considered, my day could just change rapidly. Since a lot of the things I'm working on this semester are more group-based projects. So a lot of things just might end up changing simply because the whims of our class schedule and everything else kind of take precedence. So there might come a time where I do have a stream that is listed and scheduled to happen and end up not being able to deliver on it, simply because one of the regularly recurring scheduled meeting times I do have written in just ends up not working one day for one particular reason, and literally it just happens that the only way that it will work is if I flat out shift my entire schedule and miss a stream. Another little note is that I will probably never really stream on Sundays unless it is for a collaborative event, be it a charity or just a straight up collaboration. The bigger thing I'm just trying to do is figure out what more I want to... I don't even make a game around embracing the weird. And the biggest thing I learned in game design is just that sometimes game mechanics don't work out as interestingly as you thought they would have. So sometimes you have to rely on story to carry a lot of your game, and other times you just need to start over. Oh wait, you know what I'm just now realizing? One of the artifacts I did suggest they could bring was literally the first full board game, well, full card game that I ever completed. And I mean the printout of it. I'm not gonna take the actual time to laminate the entire thing again. Because while I do have the dice to theoretically get people to play it, I do not have the, Then again, like, this is also one of the funny things I thought about, just gathering a bunch of people I know both IRL and through Discord to play with if I ever manage to get it functioning on Tabletop Game Simulator. And then just now realizing that I have a little nubby I need to fix. Are there any more little nubbies I need to fix? Because I'll be honest, those little nubs are just easy to miss until you zoom in. There we go. I don't even know if nubbies is the correct term. But again, I call people who are being dumb dodos. Anyways, honestly, I think I'm beginning to hit my yap limit, because I feel like I'm just running out of things to yap about. I mean, I guess I could go on another long-winded tangent about extreme programming, or just whatever the heck my group is currently planning on doing for our capstone project, because the end goal of our capstone project is basically just to be, like, building a family-oriented fitness application. No real specifics on how we had to build that, but my group has pretty much already decided on using Android Studio as our main development platform. I mean, I did also start a basically sort of like design document, just so we have one, an area to start throwing a bunch of ideas in, and two, narrow in on a final design, just so we don't encounter this wonderful little thing I like to call scale creep, or scope creep, which is just really the main thing you're fighting against in, at least in terms of game jams. I'm actually currently planning on joining a few that are starting soon or have already started, and I probably should have gotten started on. But the thing is, they're also a bit of a lower priority for me because, one, I need to spend time looking for a job, and two, school, which is really important to me. Yeah, that's my black light. But yeah, probably another thing I should mention is that I am not overly fond of using pure black, at least in coloring. For line art, I don't mind it as much, because more often than not, I will end up changing the color of the line art. I mean, it's also just largely a me thing, so I will probably, so if I want something to appear black, I will just use the most saturated color available in my palette to draw. Or at least the color. Or basically be black. And same case with white. I don't know if people can tell they're two different whites in my design. Or at least in my VTuber's design. Because there's like the white of my eyes, which is just a really bright and desaturated color of my skin tone. And the other white is just really desaturated. What color is this? It's like a blue. But yeah, I end up using like a really purplish blue color as the neutral color of my entire palette. The only other pop color would be my skin tone. And even then, there's some parts of it where I'm just dissatisfied because, I'll be honest, sometimes I feel like my character looks like an Oompa Loompa. Although, I'll be honest, I've never seen Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I mean, I've seen parts of it, but that was largely because I was babysitting someone else. Largely because I was babysitting and kid wanted to watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but they end up falling asleep before we finished. So I ended up just having to take the kid to bed, and then I just spent the rest of the night working on homework until their parents got home. My parents and my mom came to pick me up from babysitting. Or at least until someone came to pick me up. I mean, it also did pay pretty decently. But I also haven't babysat in a long time, so maybe it just felt pretty decent for the time. I don't know, I was like 13. I was 12 or 13 years old. Saying it now makes me feel old. I'm 22. Like that, I'm gonna take a quick break to refill my water. So, quick BRB. You wanna know one thing I find incredibly annoying about my ice cube mold? It's just how annoying it is to get the cubes out of it, largely because I feel like if I press on it too hard, I'm going to accidentally end up tearing apart the mold. Like, I'm not kidding when I say this. I was trying to get some ice cubes out of it, and it's like, okay, I see, like, a little point of it just poking into the mold, and I'm worried if I press any harder, it is going to rip, and I'm not going to be a happy camper. But, because right now the only ice cube mold that, other ice cube molds that I do have is not what I call the best mold, largely because the icing has a tendency to get stuck. And I mean in like a really annoying way. As in, it will, the bottom half is plastic. The top half is like this little flexible latex that the ice doesn't really stick to. Just trying to get the ice when it's half frozen and suction to the plastic is incredibly annoying. I end up learning, at least through the ice trays that my parents have, if it's at least semi-flexible, you can kind of twist it to just pop them loose. But the main really grievance I have with at least that ice cube tray is just trying to fill the dang thing, like overfill it and there's a slight chance that it'll seep into the other compartments and just give you trouble. Underfill it and you just have a bunch of sad little half spheres that are not really good. I just find them incredibly annoying. Oh, you know what I forgot to also color black? The little pale things. I'll fix that in a minute. Oh, and look, there's a little nubby. There, problem solved. To be honest, I feel like the color of it just looks a lot brighter, only because of the background. Then again, like, for more drafting stuff, I don't really like using a pure white background anymore. Like, even the paper I'm using in my sketchbooks, I'm pretty sure has a slight color tinge to it. Then again, like, sketchbook-wise, I prefer sketching in ink. Like, pure ink. Why I find it easier to sketch in pure ink traditionally, and I just have a hard time with it digitally. it might just because I've not been able to get a brush setup that I like enough to be able to feel comfortable enough doing it. I mean, like, almost all the brushes I use, at least now, I've custom made myself. And then my cousin has also suggested that I do stuff like sell the brushes that I make or have made. I've considered putting them up on Ko-fi, or at least my Ko-fi store, largely because I mean, I don't know. I mean, they won't make you an instantly better artist, but they've been modified to be what I like. Then again, if I did put them up on my store, they'd be like premium, like, or not premium, pay what you want. And I feel like I've also just neglected a lot of what I put there. Thing is, I feel like just trying to come up with something new to say every time I post a video feels a lot more exhausting, especially when I don't really know what to say, and it kind of just feels a little empty to have music fill the background. The way I build things up is like in a series of layers. Casually erase that a little. All I know is that I might end up eventually redoing my current VTuber model to at least have a few more different poses, especially now that, one, I understand what I'm doing a little better, at least when it comes to animating, and two, I learned a lot more, well, I wouldn't say hacks, but I've learned a lot more about just the program in general. Then I probably might end up just making a little, one thing I do plan on eventually doing is just trying to understand, like, the principles of animating with it in general, because I believe Live 2D was not originally created with the intention of, like, VTubers in mind. It's just the program's more or less become synonymous with VTubers. Because, at least as far as my understanding goes, it was originally designed to be for stuff like, animating art animating, like, more dynamic art assets, a bit more, that require a lot less intensive program. And, like, you have a bunch of flat images, and then a series of animations that you can just important to an app through SDK or whatever, and have it animate like that instead of having to have a bunch of animated sprite models just bulking up your app. Ignore any weirdness just related to me trying to have a drink of water. But this doesn't really... Too big. Forgot I had that. I had it that big. It would be easier if I just took this layer and tossed it. It'll let me just toss it under here. And now I can afford to be a bit more careless. Because as long as they meet up at the same point, it won't overflood. Okay, I think this is sure. Oh, chart and pencil. Forgot to. Or at least what I usually do. I have a tendency to value values a lot, so I typically just have a little gradient filter, or not. I usually have a saturation mask layer on top of all of this, just to be sure that everything reads well, even if it is in pure black and white. I mean, that's largely for my own sanity, because sometimes I'll look at something and be like, this looks weird, and I cannot tell why it looks weird. More often than not, it's because the value is the exact same as something next to it, so it just flashes in an eye-straining way where you cannot tell what the heck is going on. The other thing I forgot to do is probably turn this on and realize that it's stuck upside down for some reason. Oh, that'll probably explain a lot. I'm gonna quickly back out and then go back in. Oh yeah, and if you caught any of that, that is a follow-up of which, some of which will probably never be finished. But, you know, sometimes it just is nice to have a big idea picture of what it actually looks like at a distance. I guess the other reason why I also haven't posted a lot of shorts and stories and whatnot is because just trying to edit them now is a nightmare, especially since I'm working out of DaVinci Resolve. Because I refuse to touch any Adobe products any more than I absolutely have to. Especially after the whole Firefly debacle. I'm pretty sure Firefly got, or not Firefly, Adobe actually got sued by the FTC. What I will say is this: if you're relying on your stock price to carry you, your business strategy is kinda terrible. Or at least, it's not going to last long enough. It's not really going to be a good long-term strategy. Because the thing is, what's really making you money and keeping your investors happy is your paying clients. And the thing is, if you keep releasing more and more terrible features, you're ultimately going to end up with a dissatisfied client base, and then like, eventually they're just going to decide, okay, it's worth paying any cancellation fee just to not have to deal with you anymore. I mean, that's also just my opinion. I'm not a business major. I'm a computer scientist. Then again, I like to joke with my friends that I have absolutely no idea what skill tree I even spec'd into because, well, I did claim I want to be an artificer. I somehow have several things that are entirely related to the bard class. I've somehow ended up becoming a bard. Because I genuinely don't know how else to describe it. Or at least describe anything I do. I needed my coffee. That looks about right. I'm gonna skip that for now instead, so in favor of doing just the right character. Okay, yeah, I think that is. I mean, I'm also kind of using my current model as a reference. So I'm not completely sure. I have networking tomorrow, I'm working, and then I'm working until 1, after which I will be going into another class. Well, no, I'll have an hour for lunch, and then I'm going into another class. Well, I'm going into 2 more classes, and then after that, I have to set up for stream for our chapel service. Because chapel does stuff every Wednesday. I mean, then again, like, there's a reason why I can do absolutely nothing on Wednesday until like 8 o'clock at the earliest. But then again, I'm largely just doing desk duties, which also does give me some time to work on other things, especially if nothing is really going on that day. And by nothing going on, I mean as in there's nothing that immediately requires my attention. So basically what I'd be doing is just doing stuff I already know I'm going to have to eventually do later, such as getting the announcement slides video up and running, which is one of the things that people had trouble with because me and like one other person knew how to set that up. And the person who knew how to set that up and taught me how to set that up, she graduated last semester and I'm graduating this semester, so I'm probably gonna have to sit down with at least the person who I think is going to be replacing me when I graduate and teach her how to do all that stuff. Then again, she's already getting her trial by fire on it, because there are literally times where I just cannot be up there to teach her. I mean, I hope she did do well with the live stream. I didn't have or our MLK service. I wasn't able to check in on that because, one, I was on stage, I was up front most of the time, so I literally could not go upstairs and just check in and see how they were doing. Literally the only time I had to check in on them was right before the start of service, when they asked me how the heck do they export the video. Unfortunately, they were not able to get it exported in time. But, what can you do? I'm almost done with that. How long did that take? I probably should start timing it. I still cannot tell if I did the colors correctly. Oh wait. Can I move myself to where I can see my scrunchies? No, I cannot. Darn. I don't know if I've ever told anyone about this, or at least if I've told Kat about this, but I've gotten irrationally angry over someone saying, "Remember to smile." I think it was my sophomore or junior year of high school. Someone's like, "Remember to smile?" And I was like, I don't know why. I felt irrationally angry the rest of the day. Then again, I think part of it was also, like, the summer before, one of my aunts had said that I have the face of a stoic monk. Or I just looked like I really wanted to kill someone. I mean, I don't think the VTuber model can properly convey just the exact face I made, largely because I was incredibly kind of lazy with rigging the mouth. And I don't think this thing does. I've tried fixing some of it. I've had mixed results. I've tried. Eyebrows are not as animated as you think they'd be. And I guess that's like why they're called micro expressions. I have an entire folder of just me art, including the PNG tuber I made, like, or at least I finished making, like, literally an hour before a group collaboration thing. Oh yeah, did I mention that I drew my wig out for fun? Oh. I completely forgot I started a new canvas because I did initially kind of want to just work on anything else, but I figured, you know what? I already have a backlog of things that I never finished. I should probably try finishing at least one of them. I mean, the good news is, at least with my current setup, my iPad cannot die on me. Largely because I have it plugged in. I know that I did try to spend like part of my winter break just trying to see if there were any capture cards that I could theoretically use on a Linux machine. I mean, I do see advertisements for them, but I'm a little wary of them because I'm pretty sure I did see the one that I was previously using be advertised as able to work with Linux, and I'm 90% sure it couldn't actually. Because at least the main issue with Linux is that almost nobody builds for it that much anymore. And I don't think a lot of streamers really use Linux as their operating system. Because one, Windows is pretty much the assumed catch-all. You know, I've just gotten fed up with Windows largely because of just the one time where it did some weird update, and I'm pretty sure that update did something to at least the OBS setup that I had. Not to mention, I find it utterly infuriating to just use Windows, the Linux subsystem. Then again, I'm also someone who literally started using GitHub command line simply because I just enjoyed it a little bit more than, or at least enjoyed it a little bit more for just like coding projects that were not necessarily a part of a long-running other project. Sorry. Pretty much anything that wasn't strictly designed to be built into a game engine. And even then, like, there is support for running Linux, or running Git through stuff like, what's it called? VS Code. Like, I love VI a lot more than the Nano text editor. I genuinely kind of hate Nano, largely because I just don't understand all the little ins and outs of it. When I was first learning, when I first started my computer science program, we had to learn VI before we were allowed to use any other IDE. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, the easiest way to talk to a computer is through the command line. Of course, that also means I inevitably will probably have to learn Windows command line. It's just that I don't want to because I find Windows command line to be annoying. But it could also just entirely be bias speaking. I mean, I'm literally working on 3 different operating systems. My Mac is... my laptop is dual booted to both Windows and Linux. My iPad and iPhone are iOS devices. So yes, it would probably be accurate to call me a schizophrenic. I just have another kind of silly-ish story that I'm just now remembering. But, growing up, I went to Catholic school. Any of the alleged biases I was supposed to have as a result of growing up Catholic apparently never lodged correctly. Largely because I just find those biases to be beyond dumb. And by biases, I mean just any bigoted statement you can think of under the sun. I just find them to be really nonsensical. Like, that is just the bluntest way to put it. And I've already forgotten whatever topic I was originally talking about. But... I'll be honest, it might just randomly come back to me. Oh, right now I remember what I was talking about. But basically, I went to a Catholic school at one church, and then went to Mass at another parish. And the pastor of the parish that my family went to church at just called us a schizophrenic family because we were at 2 different parishes, because at that point in time I was still singing in the choir, which basically meant I was basically pulling double duty on Mass, because I was singing for Mass at one church and then just going with my parents to another service, to another Mass. And I do want to clarify, I am Catholic, so if I say Mass, that just means the big difference, at least between Mass and the service, is that whether or not the body of Christ is consecrated, whether or not the bread and wine are consecrating the body and blood of Christ. I know several churches, denominations do not believe in that. They believe it to be symbolic more than anything. The Catholic Church does not believe it to be symbolic. They believe it to... And I guess the best way to describe it is spiritually become the body and blood. Like, physically it is still bread and wine, but spiritually it is the body and blood of Christ. It's sort of like if you take one person's personality and then cram it into a different body. Like, in essence, that body is now a different person, but it is still physically the same person. That is, I guess, like the best way I can really describe how Catholics understand the whole Eucharist thing. just wanted to slam my cup down just to see if it would be picked up. Onto the other code, that's what they were just drawing all the little stars and squirrels in it. Well, you know that for the release of my first video game, I literally, at least on itch.io, I literally decided to custom make a seamless pattern. But I've had fun making I've had a little bit of fun making seamless patterns. I haven't made any recently, but they're kind of just fun to make in general. Although the only real way I can make them is, in essence, by drawing a bunch of shapes and then moving them to partially fill a canvas. Okay, yeah, it is this slightly bridling. Probably do if I made that a little smaller. I mean, the thing is, with this, I am just a lot looser with it because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be just like a little twirly goofy thing. Alright, now on to the fun part. The fun, slightly more aggravating part, which is gradients and realizing I never finished drawing them by One thing I will say though is that the reason why my VTuber model does have what looks like gray streaks in it is because I'm kind of like my dad in that I'm going gray a little early. I mean, according to my dad, he was dyeing his hair black by the time he was in high school. I flat out told my family, if I ever dye my hair, it is going to be a wacky color and not black. Because I'll be honest, having pure black hair feels kind of boring. I feel like just having little streaks of gray gives me adds a bit of character to my hair. And again, that's just my personal opinion. Gotta do some minor cleanup as I put some lines in. Sometimes I just want to move my eyebrows up and down just to see my ears wiggle. Gives me a little serotonin. Am I already almost out of water again? At least I still have UT. Actually, I'll be honest, I have very lightly teed leaf juice. I know Uncle Ira would be disappointed. I tried cold brewing a pot of tea. I left the tea bag sitting in it for like an entire day, longer than I had planned to. If anything, I probably underdid how many tea bags I should have had. Literally, this stuff is like tea light, so I might toss another tea bag in there in hopes that it just intensifies a little. One thing I will not be attempting to do though is reduce it. If you try boiling tea with the tea leaves in it, you will scald tea. I've literally end up requesting different drinks at restaurants because I taste the tea. I immediately taste if it's scalded. No amount of sugar is going to fix a scalded tea. It is just going to taste bitter, and no amount of sweetness can fix it. Trust me, I've tried. I did it early on when I was trying to learn how to make tea. I scalded tea multiple times. Once you scald a tea, there is absolutely no going back. No amount of sweetness will fix it. It will just forever taste like like a terrible coffee that is bitter. But one time I went to an on-campus fine dining restaurant, when it was like just beginning start of service. Like, I asked for a glass of tea with my meal. I immediately ended up requesting like a different drink because I put that stuff up in my mouth, gave it a little sippy, bitter. And I could tell that it was bitter in a way that could not be solvent. Because there's just like a weird characteristic in a scalded tea. I don't know what it is, but I can just by taste alone tell if it's been scalded. I don't know if it's because after Whataburger was bought by some company in Chicago that just scalded tea became the norm, but if a tea is scalded, dumping a copious amount of sugar into it will not fix the problem. If anything, it has a tendency of just making the bitterness worse. Like, I'm not kidding. It will make any attempt to add more sugar to it just feels like it's making it worse. I mean, I have tried fixing it a few times. when I did accidentally do it, but I've just learned the hard way that do not even bother attempting to fix it. It won't work. Then again, like, the only reason why I even did figure that out was because of one Joshua Wiseman video where he was talking about, like, making milk tea. I'll be honest, I don't think that method would work. I don't think that method works as well as he probably thinks it does. I love most of your videos, but that one is just one I absolutely disagree with. Because the thing is, you should heat your liquid before adding tea to it. If you try to heat it with the tea already in it, you're going to scald the leaves, you're going to scald the tea, and it's just not going to turn out great. Because basically what you're doing is you're cooking the leaves. The thing is that with the way the leaves are made, they're supposed to be already cooked to where they need to be. You just, and really, all the hot really does is, one, it causes it to taste a little different, kind of, because maybe it is doing a little bit of extra cooking, quote-unquote, of the leaves. But the thing is, it's not cooking the leaves beyond, like, the boiling point of water. But if you're trying to make tea, what I really recommend doing is just, like, bring whatever liquid you're trying to put it into to a boil, then pouring it over a cup with the tea leaves already in it. Do not attempt to actively heat up whatever you're trying to make into tea with the leaves already in it. That is just a recipe for scalding your leaves. And that is all I really have to say on the matter. But basically, the one thing I learned when trying to make milk tea is heat the milk separately, then pour the hot milk over the tea leaves. That is literally the best way to guarantee that whatever you end up making out of your tea does not taste like garbage. On a slightly funnier note, I mentioned milk tea to some friends. They said it sounded disgusting. Honestly, okay, I have preferences, but milk tea is not as terrible as it sounds. Actually quite delicious. What I will say is that hot milk tea is not something I really recommend unless you're going with, like, a heavy cream method. So if anything, if they're thinking, like, milk tea with hot beverage, if you're heating your milk to the point where it curdles, then you have a slightly separate issue, I hate to say. Basically with tea, do not attempt to heat the liquid with the tea leaves already in it, or you will scald the leaves, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to fix it. When attempting to make a milk tea, the same process. There are two ways of actually doing it. I will say at least one method that I will speak on is really more limited to a cold brew method. And also kind of just requires loose leaf tea. But basically what you want to do is pour yourself a glass of milk, put some tea put your loose leaf tea into it, and then let that sit in the fridge at minimum overnight. And you will have a nice mug of milk tea. The other option is bringing approximately half of a mug of tea to half of a mug of water to boiling. Pour that over some tea leaves and let that steep. This is a method you can do with either loose leaf or with tea bags. And once that's done steeping, take out the leaves and then pour in heavy cream. You can technically use milk. So if you use heavy cream, I recommend brown sugar over regular sugar. It's just a flavor thing. But the biggest thing I will say as related to anything related just to tea is never ever attempt to cook the leaves. Oh, hold on. Okay, so it is a lot of cooking. Did I forget to do a gradient on the tail? I can't tell. I did do a gradient on the tail. And the ears. Whip and sketches and everything everywhere, and half of them I'm never going to finish. Oh, look at that, it's 10 o'clock, so my iPad is basically telling me, hey, it's time to get some sleep. Am I going to? Nah. Okay, maybe I might. I'm just gonna finish the flash for this. I have no idea how much time I spent just yapping away instead of working on this. Oh no, I don't even know Look at this. Don't do that. It's this. And then have a corresponding with that. And that's just to make sure that I get as much of it as possible. And that's mostly done. So there's another thing I like to do that is entirely just based off one of the many brushes I've made. And it is this little, I can't remember if it's this, okay, yeah, it is this one. The other one is literally just pure random color. But what I will do is just alpha lock all of these. Multi-select, alpha lock. All of these are properly locked. Okay. all this really does is just give a little bit of texture. I think looks nice. The thing is, I'm a lot more fast and loose with it. Turn that off and turn this back on. Another thing I probably should start doing is just moving this down here, so that it's just a part of everything instead of a part of the liner. Because weirdly, I think it just looks a little better when it's a part of the context instead of just vaguely above it. That also means I need to recolor it later. Okay, I don't think I've done it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Love this little weird section. There we go. Alright, I think it was here. And for this bottom one. Yeah, I do have a few emote ideas in mind that are largely based off some of the silly interactions I've had online. One of which is entirely based off of a Tupper bot that someone made that it just feels so cringe to say. But someone made a preacher for a character I made that I just decided to recycle my VTuber's design for because, I'll be honest, I didn't want to spend like an hour creating an original design just for something where I wasn't even sure if I would get into it. But here's the thing, I have a tendency to reuse some character designs when I can. I nicknamed this character Verdita. Hey Angel, sorry, I just noticed you popped in. Hey there, how are you doing? Oh, wow, those get colored. Oh, that's why. I got completely suppressed. Really? I mean, I can lower it slowly. Is that better, or is it still too... Oh, I'm just working on doing art of my own character. I was just finishing, what's called? Color flats. And I was considering hitting the hay in a bit. Because right now I'm at the part that I suck the most at, which is coming up with backgrounds. I mean, then again, like, most of the time I just end up using a random texture. That largely consists of one of the many brushes I've made. What is this? I've completely forgotten what this one is supposed to be. Oh, it's just pure hue randomness. I've forgotten how many of these I've just created. Okay, I'm gonna probably pick like an okay-ish purple. Maybe just saturate and grind a bit more. Now for the part that I never planned to, that I rarely ever... Oh, what do you mean in terms of like software to make art? I use Procreate for the most part. Although I will say Procreate does cost money, so if you're just like looking to get into digital art, I recommend starting with places like Medibang or Krita or IBIS Paint. IBIS, if that's what you prefer calling it. And let's see. I'm going... The most important part is saturation. Here we go. I mean, like, in terms of other software I use VTube Studio for obviously VTuber model, Live 2D, right? There's a lot of weird software I use. Like, again, everything I do is just weird by the simple nature that I do have to run a few other plugins just to get Linux working, or get a lot of the stuff I want to do working on Linux. I'm just now realizing how crude my handwriting looks on the thing down here. I mean, I'll be honest though, I haven't really messed around with many of the other options. Color green. I mean, I have also messed with the Oh yeah, that's right. I did start a lot of my VTubing activities as a PNG tuber. I want you guys, like, I'll be honest, making this model took nearly an entire month of work. I think it's like 24. If I look at the Procreate documents when I started all of this, it was like minimum 24 hours of work just to create this. Yeah. I mean, I still do stream with a PNG tuber from time to time. It's just that most of the time I don't really have a reason to. Especially with how my current setup is. I mean, I've also tried getting the AutoTube to work with this. I ended up switching over to Fugi Reactive. Although right now the other thing I'm trying to learn how to do is just animate in Live 2D, just so I can have a bit more of an animated VTuber model. Because I'll be honest, while this is fun, if I'm trying to do anything that requires me to not look directly at the camera, sometimes it'll just completely lose tracking. Just, I'll be honest, the camera built into my laptop is kind of a potato. I'm going for 3 hours now. I'm gonna go a little. Yeah, if I do recommend anything to VTubers, it's honestly, I'm just going with the lazy method of just using one of the seamless patterns I made from I forget how long ago, just to have something to fill the background. Maybe add in a few gradients and textures just to add a little bit of visual interest. Because I'll be honest, most of the time I don't really plan for backgrounds. I just enjoy doing something fairly simple and basic. Occasionally, if I'm doing like, if I spent a lot of time thumbnailing, I will have a background somewhere in there. It's just that most of the time I don't really have the patience for it. Especially in like slightly more focused character pieces. Or I don't know if I call them focused character pieces. Okay. Now I'm going to... That like that. No. No. And then move. No. I mean, I was also gonna go for like a fairly basic background, I mean, that's currently kind of what I'm doing. I am going to change the color of this, though, to probably be like a dark green-ish color, not that saturated, though. I mean, the thing is, at least with how I do most of my sources of light, I usually have them coming from there's a layer that I don't have. I usually have it coming like vaguely from this direction, like that. All I know is that I do have class in the morning, so I might be ending stream like within the next 20 minutes. Because I do eventually need to go to sleep. Oh wait, no, I need to be up even earlier because I have a meeting I need to be at 8 o'clock in the morning. Because Wednesday it's just the day where I'm going non-stop. Like, officially I don't have class until 9, but officially I have a meeting with a bunch of teammates for a research thing starting at 8 o'clock. I then have a network programming class that runs from 9 till 10 and to 10:25. And then I'm on the clock for my job until 1. Then I have like an hour to eat before I need to get to my next 2 classes. And after that, I'm pretty much just going until 6 o'clock. But hey, at least I'm getting paid for 2 hours. Actually, no, I'm getting paid for 3 to 4 hours of work. I mean, that brings me roughly like $40 alone in a week. Let's see. Put these together. I'm going to set this to be a multiplier. Take that color and then fill, flipping mask, and this is where I need to switch back to my core palette. Good. Now let's see, add. Also, I will say that some of this is also just me messing around with some possible changes to how I do some things I do in my art style. Now that is not the right brush. Now, sometimes I find it a little easier to just think about where light would definitely not hit. and then just refine shape from there. Anyways, I think I might call it a night, I might call it a night here, because, like I said, I do have to be up at 8 in the morning, so, anyways, thanks for coming by, and I'm going to go deal with the fact that I accidentally, that I forgot to add a clipping mask where I should have. I'm going to duplicate the layer on edges. Select mask. Delete. Okay, that should be fixed. Joys of accidentally making mistakes. I'm gonna call that one here. I need sleep. I may not have been on my best behavior in terms of sleep scheduling. And by that, I mean I've been up till 2 a.m. for a few nights in a row. I do not know if that was the best decision making for me, but oh well. Anyways, thank you for dropping by. I won't be doing anything tomorrow, but I probably might end up changing my stream schedule anyways. Anyways, later and good night to all of you.